Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are at Trade Zone Week 2. And kind of the biggest story of today is I think maybe 55 people or so signed up. And the plan for the day was to do as much as we could to handle total here, right there in the orange on my right. They brought 11 people to the field, and they are the one domestic elite team who is signed up today. So we definitely knew it was going to be similar to last week of total attacks, we counter, bring it back, total counters, we follow. So the primary goal of the day today was to handle them as best as possible, spread the load across both our team as well as try to rely on some of the other teams to cover stuff. And yeah, sure enough, here we're not more than 30 seconds into the race and total's attacking. But like last week, well, actually counter to last week, I'm going to try to sit in a lot more as best I can. Anything that does go where I'm close and on a wheel, like right here, a Clemson racer comes by and Gavin jumps right on his wheel, I'm going to jump on Gavin's wheel. So I'm going to follow stuff where it makes sense. I'm also not going to try to chase back teammates, and we're going to try to make the race as easy as possible as a race can be with 11 domestic elite people in the race. So we've gone through one lap, we're strung out, and that's kind of going to be the theme of the day, is being strung out, but trying to sit in, follow wheels, and manage total as best we can. And speaking of total, here they go again. So that's going to be the story of the day, but it was definitely a hard race today, but definitely worth the watch, so stick around till the end to see what happens. So we've skipped forward here maybe a lap or two, and I've just put this in here just to kind of point out something that Total did really well today. Is not only were they attacking and counterattacking, they were blocking up the front pretty well. Although here, kind of funny, John Nelson pushes his way through, but I mean, like most of the attacking and following today, that quickly gets shut down. Everyone kind of filters through, and it goes nowhere. But just kind of to bring up the fact that Total did do a good job of kind of playing the teammate roles today. And speaking of teammate roles today, something that I talked about last week a couple of times that I think I did poorly was chasing back some of my teammates, even though I was trying to get up and kind of stack a break and be able to help them maybe get a win, especially after the first time doing it. It obviously wasn't going to work. I was just going to string the field out behind me. But there were a couple of moves today where, like this right here, I had two teammates up there. I did know SLR. I don't think they made this break, so I was kind of looking around seeing if SLR was going to bridge. I was pretty happy with this SLR rider bridging up there, but Gavin was right on his wheel. Another Total rider was blocking up the front. I knew they also had another Total rider up there. I think it was maybe Taylor, and I knew that wasn't going to be a good break. So I chased that down, and of course the field kind of accordioned out behind, which is definitely a theme of the day, kind of catching and killing anything that wasn't going to be favorable to us in the break. But of course the other downside of catching and killing is that there's always a Total rider. See here again, a Total rider who's fresh and has been waiting back in the field to counter the second things slow down again. So we've got another Total rider stringing things out, trying to get across the front. And like I said, I'm going to try to filter in for the most part for the full day as best as possible. Although when I see gaps starting to open like this and we don't have teammate representation up there, I'm definitely going to make the effort to bridge across, because most of these guys on Total, as long as they have the right representation up in the break with them and the right kind of unmotivated field behind, they can definitely make it go the whole race, even from 42,000 meters out. So one of the times that I had to chase something down, but not super common for the day. And well, speaking of common things for the day, there's another Total break. I think Andrew Frommer, who was the one who went there, probably had half a dozen times where he attacked through and countered. So kudos to him. He definitely did a lot of work for the team there. And I think specifically in this instance was off the front for maybe a lap or so. I think we've skipped forward a bit here until PJ makes a move there to jump across, but teamwork. I've got Joe there covering the wheel, and then more teamwork. I've got Jake here right in front of me, kind of making my life easier But we do come and catch Andrew at this point, and I see an SLR rider, and I probably don't even have to guess. There's definitely a total rider in front of him countering, so I know I've got to get across to that because SLR is strong, total's strong. If they've got representation, including someone from our team, that's something that could work for the day. Oh, yeah, and here's Gavin kind of poking fun, making another counter move from total, of course. But like I said, gonna slot in, even with total people sticking their tongue out at me. I'm not gonna let them goad me into chasing everything down. So here we actually have one of the unique instances in where it wasn't a total rider who initiated another counter. I think it was a meta rider, but we did have total following. And then fortunately for me, in this move, I've got, I think it was Joe who went first there, and then Darren right on his wheel. And I've got Jake here to the right, also supporting. Great teamwork for the day. But like I said, gonna slot in, gonna let things develop, not gonna chase teammates back. We go forward here a half a lap, and it's right around this time that I'm realizing I haven't seen Michael at all the whole race. We're 25 minutes in. He won last week. And sure enough, here comes Michael. And I kind of know this story from previous years. Half the total team will spend the first half of the race making things hard, countering, attacking, and then kind of their big hitters will come up later on in the race. So Michael's strung it out for a bit. We've brought him back. We're on the front, and SLR, Alec here goes. I can't remember if there is still a total rider off the front or if Alec has just thought maybe it was hard enough and wanted to. Oh, no, there was a total rider off the front, of course. But, of course, we're also just stringing the whole field behind us. And if I'm correct there's another total counter attack, this time John from District Taco following it. But I do know there's definitely some other teams, well, every single other team that's missed it. I might be on the front here, and I'm doing a little bit of power, but I'm not going to chase it back myself until I think we're a half a lap later, and I'm on the front here, and Toby attacks across. Total follows it, and I'm not going to let Total get up there with Toby and another total rider. So jump on the wheel, slot in, and jump forward another lap or two. We've caught it, but of course, if we've caught something, that means Total's going to attack again, and here's Andrew again going for another solo break. But fortunately for me this time, I've got teammates right on the front here helping out. Joe following a move from Alec, maybe from last week, who was in the break. Toby following behind. But of course, I'm just going to sit in, let my teammates go up the road, rest a little bit until I see a break or a gap is kind of forming here. And I do think I'm in a pretty good position to probably make the same mistake that I was making last week of trying to get up to the break to help a teammate. And I think Alec here from SLR was either thinking the same thing or he didn't have a teammate up there, but he kind of attacks the same time I'm due. So I'm able to sit into his wheel and we come all back together. But of course, if we're coming back together, that means another total rider is going to be attacking off the front, and everyone kind of looks around at themselves or at each other for a little bit, but we do end up getting organized and chasing that back again as well. But since we've chased something back, that means a total rider is going to go again. And you can see there's a lot of other people in the field who know, like, sitting on Michael's wheel is going to be the right place to be a lot of the time. So it actually makes it almost a bit easier to follow a Michael attack because there's going to be 1, 2, 3 people behind, and that gets kind of caught and killed. But of course, another total rider is going to look back and say, perfect, now's my time to shine, now's my time to attack. So I get on the front because I do see a lot of heads kind of looking around, and we're only 26K to go. So I'm not going to let a total rider get off the front by themselves, especially Zach here. He's strong. He can go the distance. So bring that back and kill that. And we've jumped forward another lap where we've kind of all stayed together, and it's been fast. And this was a pretty interesting moment. We had, I think it was Gavin on the front, who attacked Jackson's wheel. I'm in Jack's wheel, and we pass Michael and Joe on my team. And I thought that might actually be pretty good if they could sit up and let us go. And I'm kind of talking to Gavin here about, hey, like, that could have been fun. We could have rolled that for a bit, and I would have rolled it, but of course we get caught total chases, total counters, but Joe does get on the wheel there. And of course, that also gets killed later on. But another kind of teammate point here as we're chasing that down, or people are chasing that down to kill it. I've got Jake who comes in front of me right there, gets on the wheel right in front of me and gets me a better draft. And 2 laps later, I've got John who's in front of me giving me a draft when, of course, another total attack comes through. But I'm not going to panic. I'm going to sit in. I know I've got teammates. Here I've got Jack, who is attacking around with Gavin on his wheel to get up there and be represented. And I think right here I have Paul to my right, and I tell him, like, sorry, I'm not going to chase that one. Last week I might have. This week I'm not going to. And then it's 2 laps later when we finally get kind of close to catching that break that had been up the road. And I tell Joe, this might be a good time to get across to that chase group and get up there. It's not a super threatening break, but has the right composition. But of course, we've got Total right on his wheel, and then Alec on Michael's wheel from Total. So I slot in, follow things. And lo and behold, we got Darren here, the barbarian of the team, coming up to help as well. And we've come half a lap later, we got Darren, we got Joe up here helping. But now we've got Michael sending a 3-4 lap solo move, which he is kind of known for doing and can definitely make it stick. There's a couple people following, but I'm definitely freaking out. I was telling Joe, like, hey, we got to cover that. So Joe gets on the front, starts to put down the power, and Total gets behind, but that's okay. Like, we can tow Total. What we can't do is let Michael go solo. So I do a good move here on the front. Joe starts to bridge across. Total goes to maybe chase it down. It decides better of it, but then another Total rider decides, no, we should probably chase that down. So I slot in again. I think I'm 4th or 5th wheel here. Joe's doing the work on the front now, but as Joe pulls off, this is probably the most controversial part of the race here. It's now a Total rider on the front who we have Michael probably 30 meters up, and he stands up and he attacks. And SLR is kind of dropping the wheel as well. Paul drops the wheel, but I bridge across here to SLR, and I'll be quiet here for a second so you can hear. So kind of funny, you can hear Gavin there is yelling at his teammate to stop chasing his other teammate who's up the road solo, and I tell him, no, keep going, this is good. But yeah, I get on the front and I chase down the last of that probably 20 meters to Michael. But of course, like the rest of the day, there goes Total onto the front. Although now we only have a lap to go. So I definitely don't want to be up as far as I am. So I slot back a couple positions. I think I'm 4th or 5th wheel now, but still pretty far up. And fortunately for me, Toby takes kind of a 3/4 of a lap flyer here. And I was kind of worried things were going to slow down too much, but this was perfect. This made things fast. But speaking of slowing down, meta here, it's one meta in front of the second meta here. I'm 3rd wheel, and they're definitely going too slow to keep us in front of kind of the swarm going into this last turn. But probably was a good thing in hindsight, because it's 400 or 500 meters to the finish from the turn. Although I do notice now I kind of messed up the meters in the top right. But it was good that I was able to slot in maybe 6th, 7th wheel here or so, instead of being 3rd wheel going into that. And you can see the meta riders are already following back. So we've got 400 meters to go. I'm slotted in 6th wheel. I've got Michael here on my left, John Nelson from District Taco, a strong sprinter, also on my left, but I am kind of boxed in. But fortunately, Michael takes a long 250 meter sprint here. John, I'm starting to yell at John, like, up, up, up. And the heavens kind of open up for me here, and I jump onto Michael's wheel for 1 second and come around on the left here, and I'm putting down all the power I have left, and I nip him at the line. I think maybe 6 inches or so on the bike throw, but overall, super happy with the day. Worked really well with the team, and probably more importantly on some of the things that I talked about last week that I made mistakes on. So not chasing teammates, being able to sit in the wheels a bit more and kind of relax through the race rather than chase everything back. So overall, super good day. Pumped to be coming back for week 3 next week, the final trade zone. Thanks again for stopping by today, and I'll see you next week to wrap up the trade zone training series.